I wish you luck in realizing your ambition.
Hey everyone, it's Blue Lizard Jello and welcome back to Everything Possible in Elden Ring, where last time we made it a little bit further into Stormveil Castle and I showed you how to expertly take out your very first Crucible Knight, provided you have a bow, you have poison arrows, and a lot of patience. But now we need to make it even further into Stormveil Castle and get a little bit closer to taking out the castle's boss, Godric the Grafted. Now granted, that's not going to be happening today, but it will be happening soon. And I'll be putting a little trademark symbol next to the word soon, so that way you don't try and infringe on my copyright anytime I say the word soon. But before we dive into today's episode, let's take a quick look at what we will be using. It is actually the same exact setup, I've just moved tools around a little bit. I have the Sacrificial Axe, the Marred Leather Shield, which by the way, some of you pointed out, why am I not using something like the Heater Shield, or any of the Heater Shields? I like the way this one looks. That's really it. I also have my Longbow, Finger Seal. I have crafted some more Firebone arrows and some more Poison Bone arrows. For my fashion, I have the Iron Helmet, Page Garb, Bandit Manchette, and Chain Leggings for talismans, the Assassin's Crimson Dagger, as well as Radigan's Scar Seal, and I do have some fire pots at my disposal. If you want to take a look at my stats, you may go ahead and pause the video now. And you will see I also have Urgent Heal, I have Flame Sling, and I have Rejection on my spell slots. Now I haven't upgraded any of my equipment as of yet. And the reason is I wanted to show that it is completely possible to not only proceed through at least the early portions of the game, but even excel at them with unupgraded material. That way you can figure out which items, which weapons you want to use without investing your smithing stones into them too early. Because right now they are a precious commodity. But at the end of today's episode, we will have enough smithing materials in our possession to get at least one weapon up to +7 and several up to +2 and even more up to +3. And we'll be doing that at the beginning of the next episode. Right, that is enough waffling. Let's go ahead and take the elevator that we found last time and take it on down. Oh, it's short. And we're going to be heading to the room right here where we fought the Grafted Scion. Head towards the portrait of Godric the Grafted. Absolutely massive looking portrait. And last time we did go up here, we picked up 10 arrows off of a corpse. So we can just ignore that commoner. In this courtyard, if you take on... Oh look, that guy's got glowing eyes. Positively lovely. That means that he's going to drop 5 times the amount of runes as any of the other exile soldiers in the area. But this courtyard, if you approach it from here, while it's completely possible that you'll survive, it's very, very dangerous. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and immediately sprint over to the left and duck inside of a little basement area that's filled with rats. If I do that quickly, while 1 or 2 of these exile soldiers might approach the room, most of them shouldn't bother us in there. And if they do, we'll take out just those 1 or 2s. Now, I've tried a couple different ways of getting into there without being spotted. I've tried crouching, and I've also tried the Mimic's Veil, which we picked up last time, the one that Godric used to look like a woman when he was escaping Leyndell. But unfortunately, some of the crossbow enemies out there would spot me anyway. So instead, it's just a dead-on sprint. Watch for the explosive barrels, and down we go. And yes, he just blew that horn, letting others know that we were here, but that's all right. I'm going to go ahead and get my flame sling, because we have a few rats here, and if we charge it up, we should be able to kill them in one shot. So get their attention. There we go. And you might even be able to get some splash damage. Not right now. Oh look, this rat also has glowing eyes. How fun. Okay, so we do have 1 of the exile soldiers with a crossbow coming from behind, and that is fine. We can get that health back without our flask. We can simply just use the backstab mechanic and use the Assassin's Crimson Dagger. Over on this corpse, we get a fireproof dried liver. Now, we do have the recipe in order to craft these, but this consumable gives us 15% fire damage negation for 2 minutes. Spoiler alert, the boss of this zone does have some fire attacks. Let's go ahead and use a single stone sword key to open up this imp door. And down here, we have 2 chests. This one over on the left gives us the God Slayer's Seal. So a new incantation seal. The God Slayer's Seal, it takes 4 strength and 27 faith in order to utilize, and it boosts God Slayer incantations by 10%. The God Slayer incantations include Black Flame Ritual, and Scouring Black Flame. This seal belonged to the Godskin Apostles. By the way, that seal, it actually does have the highest spell power for incantation seals between 27 and 68 faith. So it's actually a really good seal for that medium to high level faith requirement. And in here, we get the Godskin Prayer Book. The Godskin Prayer Book, when given to someone who can teach incantations, will teach Black Flame and Black Flame Blade, which is interesting because only one of those actually gets boosted by the Godslayer seals that we just picked up. And I just find it so revolting that this prayer book is bound in supple skin. Not just skin, mind you, but supple skin, much like the Necronomicon. With that in hand, go ahead and head outside. Go ahead and grab this Golden Rune level 4, and before we turn the corner over here and head up the ladder, notice that we are near the front gate. So if we go over here, you can see the portcullis just there. That is the gate that Gostock did offer to raise when we first entered Stormveil Castle. But from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our time, and I'm going to snipe all of the enemies here, all of these exiled soldiers that are on the ballista. This will make something that's coming up much, much easier. So, just going to go ahead and start with Mighty Shot with Flame Arrow. Making sure that my Sacrificial Axe is equipped so I get a little bit of FP back, effectively reducing the cost of Mighty Shot. Good, that stone had it coming. Okay, there's 4. There is another one over here. Okay, there is the last one. Now we could drop down and get that loot, but it's a much safer way to do exactly as I'm about to do. Right, so heading up this ladder. Over on this corpse, you do have 10 more arrows. In fact, I'm going to get my bow back equipped. If you want to hop down, by the way, and if you want to head over in that direction, you can see that gate right there. There actually is a Site of Grace in there. By the way, there's another Site of Grace over by the main gate. You do have this option to hop down there, and you could just hightail it on over and make it relatively safely. But I'm going to show the much more simple way of taking out enemies along the way. So here we have 2 Banished Knights. One of them with a halberd, one of them with a sword and shield. Fortunately, if we stay here and we go ahead and use our bow, like I've been using almost exclusively since we got here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Mighty Shot button, which in my case is R2. I'm then going to hold in that's L2 rather, and then L1 to manually aim, zoom in, and with one trigger of my R1, there's 1 fire shot, there is a second, and if I'm quick enough, there's another one, and now we'll just flatten them. Why not? Here we have 3 Festering Bloody Fingers if you are keen to do any invasions, which we will actually have to do here in a little bit once we get to Liurnia of the Lakes in order to fulfill a certain quest line. Okay, now I'm going to top off on my Cerulean Flask to get more FP, because I'm going to do the same thing with this enemy. So zoom in, hold down my Mighty Shot button, and R1. Aim down a little bit. There's 2. There's 3, good headshot, and perfect. Easy enough. And from here, we have this little wooden bridge. There's going to be a couple of exile soldiers just behind kind of that fortification right there. But we do have a couple more enemies that are on the ballista that we want to deal with. We have this enemy right here. So once again, just line this up. Mighty Shot with the Flame Arrow. There's one, and then the other one. Right there. By the way, they're firing explosive bolts in triplicate. They can deal incredible damage very, very quickly. Now, I'm not worried about the enemies with the torch poles, and I'm not even worried about the enemies that are directly below. You could sit here and pick them all off, but for me, instead, I'm just going to head over this way. Kill this one nice and quick, and then get out of the way. And my plan is, I'd like to get a backstab on you if I can, so let's just do a barricade. And I'm going to run around. There's backstab, that's going to top off my health and get a little FP back. Hey, we got some exile armor, very nice. And once again, if you wanted to drop down, or if you even wanted to jump over there, you could, but we're going to do that in a different way here momentarily. Once again, climbing another ladder. Gonna have a couple more of the exile soldiers. If you are in need of FP and you're using the Assassin's Crimson Dagger, getting a backstab on one of these is very, very simple. Alright, and barricade shield again. Knocking him straight down for another critical. Alright, we got smoldering butterflies from him. Over on this corpse, you get the Nomadic Warriors Cookbook. Now, the Nomadic Warriors Cookbook only grants you access to a single recipe, and that is for the Storm Wing Bone Arrow. But the Storm Wing Bone Arrow is a very strong, very far-flying arrow. It actually deals 2.5 times poise damage than that of a normal arrow. So really good for its stagger potential. Now, back to the bow, because over there, you can see there is a Banished Soldier with a halberd, as well as another Exile Knight, or Exile Soldier, rather. So I'm going to line this up, and then Mighty Shot another Flame Arrow right at his head. Readjust a little bit. There we go. Now, oftentimes he's going to struggle to get over to us. Typically what I do is I approach the bridge, and that gives him the confidence he needs to get a little bit closer. And now I'm just going to do a couple more. There we go. Good clean kill. Now over here, there's actually no reason to even go over here unless you're just trying to kill absolutely everything. Since I am. Go ahead and take out this Exile Soldier. And just to kind of tie the piece together so you can see exactly where we're at. There's no loot down here. But you can see that we were up there quite a while ago when we were dancing with that one flame-spewing Warhawk. We got the dozing cross-legged gesture. And down there, that's where we picked up a somber smithing stone. And there was an imp door just across the way. And now we have the potentially very scary task of taking out the entire courtyard. The courtyard is littered with all of these explosive barrels. The problem is, the problem is the developers were smart enough not to put the enemies too close. So you can't just sit here and snipe all of those explosive arrows and kill the enemies that way. That would be too easy. You can lure them closer to the barrels and then explode them. Unfortunately, that takes a little bit more time than I'm willing to invest right now. You could also just sit up here and do Mighty Shot and take them out one at a time, but again, that takes time, that takes FP, so instead, let's just jump across to this building. Be prepared because there is a torch pole wielding enemy just there, so we're just going to drop down and immediately start attacking. There we go. Ducking down so no other enemies can see me right now. And here we have the wooden Great Shield. Now, while this is a wooden shield, meaning it doesn't have the best defenses, especially in terms of fire damage negation, it is actually not a bad Great Shield. It's actually tied to be the lightest Great Shield in the game. Decent damage negations, again, other than fire, and it has somewhat moderate guard boost. It is technically a Great Shield as well, which means it is going to have a higher hardness factor than your medium shields, meaning more enemy attacks will recoil off of the Great Shield. I'm not sure what just happened, but I'm grateful it did. But then again, your medium shields with the barricade shield skill, like I've been using, will still have a higher toughness. then the Great Shield. That guy's got me confused. In all my practice runs, he didn't do anything like this. But he is just... he's on a mission, isn't he? You can see by the symbol in the left-hand side of the screen that we can summon in this area. So if you are using summons, by all means, this is a great place to do so because it does get very, very hairy. And if I can take out some of these enemies with Mighty Shot, I will do exactly that. But as I've said many times, in this instance, slow is steady. And steady gets the spaghetti. That's not my saying. Slow and steady gets the spaghetti? What do I say about spaghetti? I'm not sure. Anyway, sorry, I just ate lunch. Now with all these enemies that are on the flame kind of dragon cannons, you can't get a backstab unless they let go and unsheath their weapon. If you go and try and get a free backstab on them just because they're facing away, you'll just do a normal attack. It's actually better to approach them, let them see you out of their kind of peripheral vision, and then as soon as they unsheath their sword, hit the attack button and you'll get the backstab. See if I can demonstrate on this enemy. So I'm going to approach, he unsheaths, there's the backstab. Okay, this guy is on to me, so let me just back up. Knock him down for the critical, getting any sort of chip damage back. Okay, Smoldering Butterfly. This enemy, I've never seen someone so tenacious. Oh, because he was trying to replace the post of the one that was lost. That's very funny. Yeah, so they will actually replace each other. Now, all of the exile enemies are going to be from this spike barricade over to the left. Okay, that is the door that we came out of last time, and the basement's just over there. Back there, we do have an omen and a dog that we're going to deal with, but not right now. We're going to focus on this courtyard and the front of the castle first. So, but once again, I'm going to approach this enemy as soon as he unsheaths. Get the backstab. He's going to get his crossbow out, but as long as I break the line of sight, he'll have to try and path over towards me. In theory. Boy, he doesn't want to give it up, huh? I don't really want to just walk out there. Okay, here we go. Let him path. Might actually even just grab onto that dragon cannon. No? Well, that's okay. That works for me. Barricade shields. Knock him down. Guard counter works incredible against them. So normally that would be an issue. The thing is, when he calls that horn, the ones that are on the cannons don't actually react. So you don't have to worry about them. What you do need to worry about is his firebomb attacks. Because if you're standing near an explosive barrel, that can be very, very dangerous. Alright, knock him down with a guard boost or a guard critical again. And let's loot some of these corpses. Stormhawk Feather, Smoldering Butterfly. I'm not looting any of the static corpses right now. Save those for the end. Mushroom. Got another mushroom there. And a Smithing Stone level 1. They can drop Smithing Stone 1 and 2, so not a terrible place to farm. Okay, once again, let this enemy see me. He's got the glowing eyes. Backstab. We've got two enemies that are seated down there. We have one on the dragon ballista thing. This one I can just kill easily with a mighty shot, though. That enemy is only aware of me conceptually speaking. So we should be able to approach him. Just kidding, I didn't think that guy was going to be aware of me, so I'm just going to back up and reset his encounter. Be honest, thought I had my shield equipped, but that's okay. I'll just roll around for the backstab. Get that health right back and save a little FP in the process. Alright, barricade shield. See if I can't bait an attack. Okay, Courtyard's almost clear of the exile enemies. Free mushroom, and again, just get him to become aware of us. Hello. He uncheese, we backstab. Simple as that. There are more enemies up front, but first let's go take a look up here. A little bit of loot and one more of the great axe wielding enemies, or rather it is the crescent axe. We'll just do a nice heavy attack. A couple of R1s later, he is dead. Hey, we actually got the crescent moon axe. We were just talking about that. This is actually a really fun looking axe. It's heavy, 12.5 weight units, 16 FP in order to use the Warcry skill. Takes 25 strength to one-hand it with 15 dex. 25 strength to two-hand would be 18 strength, I believe, if you wanted to two-hand the weapon. But I do love that the crescent moon of its name is said to have been spurred by nostalgia. This, to me... Do I hear an enemy coming? To me, this seems to reference Demon Souls and the crescent axe you can get from Demon Souls. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I choose to believe. There we have 12 more fire arrows. And I'm not sure who seemed to be walking nearby. Might actually be up in a different room altogether. But there's the basement with the rats. So let's just make our way this way. We'll be looting this as soon as everything is dead and we're safe. But again, make sure he's aware. He unsheathes. There's such a high chance of dropping loot. Smoldering butterfly. Hey, I'm right here. Pull your sword out. Thank you. There we go. So before we actually go all the way down there, now let's loot all the static corpses. We have a golden rune level 4, golden rune 2. We've got 5 smoldering butterflies. The pike, I'll talk about the pike here in just a moment, a really underrated weapon. Magic grease, which is going to, of course, add 85 magic damage for a minute. We can't craft this for some time, so being able to get one right now is pretty beneficial. We have golden rune level 1, and we have a golden rune level 2. Now the pike. I understand that it is a spear type weapon, and not everyone is into those types of weapons. However, it has incredible reach. It has one of the longest melee reaches in the entire game, and it claims to be good on horseback, which I've never found the spears to be all that good. I'd rather have a sweeping weapon. Here's the thing with the melee reach. In the last episode, when we met with Sorcerer Rajay, we also picked up the Glintstone Pebble Ash of War. Right here. Oh, that's the sorcery, excuse me. Glintstone Pebble. This Ash of War also allows for a follow-up where you will charge into a lunging thrust. If you put Glintstone Pebble on the pike, you attack with the pike, you use Glintstone Pebble, and then a follow-up, I promise you, you can actually attack enemies in a different game altogether. It is absolutely incredible the reach you can get. Okay, before we go tackle the omen, we are once again just going to proceed down, get this enemy's attention. Also really good for staying topped off. Now what I'd like to do here is back up a little bit, and we're going to do a couple of mighty shots on the left and right enemies. There's one. And there's two. That leaves the crescent axe wielding enemy all by his lonesome. Grab a mushroom. Now this static corpse has 5 kukris that deal the bleed buildup. Get a little sneaky. Now at this point, this is when I do like to take out... I guess I could have killed this enemy with the mighty shot earlier. Better late than never. There's one more directly above us, though. We'll deal with him up close and personal. So, just going to get my shield back out, hop up these rocks, Skyrim style. He gave me the old shove. Didn't even need the barricade shield. Got the guard counter. What'd you drop? Smoldering butterfly and mushroom. So here, we do have a couple of Trina's lilies over there and an item over there. not just the one that the enemy dropped. So I'm going to sprint right here and jump. So up by this first ballista, there's an herba, but as well as a couple of Trina's lilies. And over this way, with this one other ballista that we saw. Again, not only did he drop something, which is, hey, a smithing stone level 2, that's great, but we get the arbalist. The arbalist is a very heavy crossbow. It does weigh 6 units, and for a crossbow, that's pretty heavy. It takes 18 strength to one hand, 12 in order to two hand, along with 12 dexterity. But in terms of early ranged weapons, it can hit very hard. Now, here's the thing with crossbows, is that crossbows aren't intended to be your primary weapon. But for initiating a battle and getting a good chunk of health taken care of on any given enemy and then pulling them in without their other kind of compatriots finding out, there are worse ways that you can spend your time. We're now entering the front of Stormveil Castle, heading up towards the front gate. I'm going to use the same tactics we've been using though, which is take out weak enemies with a mighty shot. I really like how this guy just kind of goes, whoa, what was that? And then we switch to his other friend, which I can... Been having issues with the lighting lately. I'm not sure what that's about. And then he goes, hey, wait, you too? And then he just goes right back to his business. Him up for a backstab. Okay, that one exile soldier with the crossbow is aware that we exist, even if he doesn't know exactly where we are. So if we just back up... Oh, him and his friend. They'll go and investigate, as they should. And if we just crouch sprint on over... Okay, backstab here. Now, you might see off in the distance someone who's waiting to make our acquaintance. That is a Guardian Lion, and at this stage with unupgraded weapons, I don't recommend killing him, at least in a fair fight. I'm going to show you a very, very cheesy way of dealing with him, because I do love me some good cheese. Once again, mighty shot. Boy, the guys with Crescent Moon axes, they are just losing friends left and right. And one more over there. That should allow us to get a nice backstab on this enemy right here. Nice and safe like. Oh, I forgot about you. That's okay. Tell you what, go ahead and give me a kick. That gives me all my health back thanks to that Assassin's Crimson Dagger. Okay, let's do a little bit of looting. Smoldering Butterfly. None of those enemies dropped anything. Exile Armor and a Smoldering Butterfly. So up here, this is where the other ballista enemies were, which is why killing them from up above was such a key moment. Otherwise, they would just be raining down explosive bolts all over us. Okay, once again, mighty shot to take out you. There is another torch pole wielding enemy who's right there, so we can take care of him again. Mighty shot. There we go. And just for fun, we'll go ahead and use the Crown Slam ability, like so. Alright, well, got you. And Flame Sling for the win. Alright, excellent. So that should be all of the enemies in this immediate area. We will go and loot down by the portcullis here in a moment. At first, let's head up to where all those ballistas were, see if any of the enemies dropped anything, but there's a couple of bits of static loot to pick up. First, we have another smithing stone, level 1. And over here we have Smithing Stone level 2. Exile Greaves. Now there was one more enemy up there. There's no static loot. If he drops something, you would have to get it from above. We have no need to do that. But as we drop down, head over here, we actually have not just a little bit of loot, but we have another Site of Grace, and we have the lever to open up the front gate. So there's the gate that Gostok did offer to open up, but you can see if we came through there, that was pretty much a death sentence with those ballistas. So we have a Golden Rune level 5. Let's activate this Site of Grace. We're not going to rest. And then back here, a very interesting bit of armor, the Commoner's Simple Garb. Not an incredible bit of armor, but what you might notice is that on the far right-hand side, this does increase your faith by a single point, and it even does say in the description that this is a self-imposed shackle, meaning what they're wearing around them, because it's an image of a tree with branches and roots forming, well, basically 2 holes forming the shackle. And this is a voluntary display of allegiance to the Earth Tree that increases faith. It's only 1 point, but it is something that does actually increase your faith by 1. I also think it looks kind of cool, so I will be wearing that. And now if we drop down, this puts us right into the room with Gostok.
Oh, hello.
Unfortunately, Gostok has absolutely nothing new to say. Despite us catching him, following us through the castle, and us opening up the gate ourselves, he has nothing of interest to say. Nor does he have anything new to purchase. So, let's go ahead and loot along the way. Golden Rune 1, Rune 2, and 5 more ballista bolts for the hand ballista we picked up back in the Weeping Peninsula. Let's head up the cobblestone walkway right here. We're staying on this side because of that Guardian Lion. And here's the thing. Like I said, we are about to cheese that Guardian Lion right after we grab this one Trina's Lily. And if we just stay all the way over here, and we're just going to sprint right into this room. And just for safety's sake, I'm going to grab the Site of Grace that's back here. We're going to be coming back here after we've killed Godric the Grafted and return to Round Table Hold. But for now, let's just light this Site of Grace. We're going to get our bow out, because, yep, it is archery time. And we're going to tease that Guardian Lion into approaching these stairs. Here's a well-known fact about lions. Lions can't climb stairs. It's actually a well-known fact. This will be corroborated by many lion biologists if I have any in the comments here. So we are free to stay here, and while he tries to attack us, we can mighty shot with some poison arrows of our own. The thing is, we want to get him into a loop where he attacks, because otherwise, if you try and shoot him, he will attempt to jump away, which that time didn't really matter. And even if we run out of FP, we will just go ahead and keep trying to hit him with poison arrows. Okay, there he is. He is poisoned, so now we can just use other types of arrows to knock him down. Thanks to the biology of lions. Well, we can do... Whoa! Don't get too close. We can just wait. And if he does start to go back to his original starting area, let's get a little bit closer so he starts attacking again. Let that poison do its job. Now, he will not respawn either, so once we've killed him, we're free to run through this area a bit safer. There we go. And with him dead, we get a Somber Smithing Stone level 1, a Beast Blood, and 2 Old Fangs. There we go. So the front of the castle is done. Most of the courtyard is taken care of. I'm going to use my Flask of Cerulean Tears. So let's head back up and we're going to deal with that omen and his dog before moving on to the next area. And the omen and his dog, this is why I brought the fire pots. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my axe out and my shield just in case I need it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get close enough that I can throw 2 very quick fire pots. And I'm going to run around and try and position the omen near some of these explosive barrels. And as soon as he's close, I'll hit him with a fire pot, and that will nearly kill him. 1 or 2 hits after that to take him out. So, approach, and 1. Oh. Okay. And let's run around. It's going to take him a little while to path. But ideally, right here will work great. Oh, he didn't actually get staggered, which is interesting. They do hate fire, though. So there we go. He is defeated. The omen, you can see his horns have been cut off. We're going to see the omens again and again. Some with the horns cut off, not all of them, though. In fact, we already saw one of the omen in Margit, the boss we had to fight in order to get here. Inside this room, we have another one of those paintings where we have to find out where the artist painted from. This prophecy painting, fortunately, is an area we've already been back in the Weeping Peninsula. We'll take care of that probably in the next episode. And we do have another one of these glowing statues that needs to be broken. The omen is not strong enough. Fortunately, we have another very tall enemy we'll deal with here in a little bit. Got 8 mushrooms over next to the stairs, and on the stairs we have a Furl Calling Finger Remedy. Careful of the Warhawks up there. Activate this summoning pool. And before we activate yet another Site of Grace, go ahead and grab this pair of smithing stone level 1s. And by the way, down here, you can drop down here. So if I use one of our rainbow stones, toss that down. Because it doesn't shatter, that means it is potentially survivable if you have enough health. You will take fall damage unless you use this soft cotton. But we're going to approach that in a different way. So for now, so head over here. We'll activate this Site of Grace. That door, in typical From Software fashion, doesn't open from the side. But what is not typical is the fact that there's an elevator here that's not on our level that we can call down and actually ride up. We're not going to use this right now. I'm going to show where it connects in a little bit, but if you use this, it does allow you to essentially get right to the boss arena without going through this little gauntlet that does have a couple of the fire-breathing Warhawks, some exile soldiers, and eventually a troll. So for this enemy, this Warhawk, that is an explosive barrel, but he's not close enough. It's kind of a bit of a red herring. If you explode that, he won't even flinch. Instead, I'm going to aim right up at his dumb bird face and unleash a flaming mighty shot. Then I'm going to back up. Hopefully he's flying towards us. He is. Okay, and barricade shield. There we go. There's one. There's one more coming up. But for now, we're going to go up here, immediately turn left, and head up the stairs. We have one of the axe-wielding enemies right here. Charge R2 and an R1 later. So we get another smithing stone level 2. There's the other Warhawk. I'm going to do the exact same thing, but first, let's deal with that exile soldier. So, mighty shot. And mighty shot. There we go. I've actually never tried that before. I was curious to see if he'd fly right into it. Sure enough, right into the flame sling, like a big dumb bird. Get a golden rune level 2, and as we enter here, we have another NPC, so I'm going to be quiet so you can hear her as she speaks as we approach.
Be proud. You were a fine warrior. Your only mistake was your choice of master. Let the wings lift you to a higher place. Well, who do we have here? Tarnished, are you? Clearly not one of Godric's lot. I am Nepheli Loux. Tarnished and warrior, like you. I'm here by decree of my father. How utterly repellent this is. This grafting of Godric's ill befits a lord. He's tainted the very winds. If you intend to challenge Godric, I ask you call upon me. The winds run foul with his deeds. I'm certain father would permit me aid the fight. Apologies, but I've idled long enough. As fellow Tarnished, we must each follow our own guidance. Down whatever road takes us to the throne of Elden Lord.
So she is encouraging us
Apologies, as fellow
to summon her when we need to. And we can, in fact, summon her for the Godric, the grafted boss fight that's coming up. And she does a great job. You don't, however, need to in order to get her reward, which we'll get after we kill Godric and head back to Round Table Hold. Inside this room, get 4 more smithing stone level 1s. Head over here to this little minor Erd tree. Grab a golden seed so we can get yet another flask. Grab this Trina's Lily, and here we have what we're looking for. We have 2 soldiers to take out with, you guessed it, Mighty Shot. And before the troll even wakes up, let's head over here. Grab this smithing stone level 2. And now, I'm just going to tickle this guy a little bit. Might even hit him with some poison arrows, because eventually we need to kill him. We just don't need to kill him yet. Oh, and I didn't mean to hit him in his face. That was a mistake. Because it does slow him down when you make him start covering his face. And we need to drag him all the way over to that statue. There we go. You know what they say about cool guys not looking at explosions? Neither do they look at rampaging trolls. Keep it coming. Now, it's about this point, if you get too far, he's going to start leashing back to his original area, so stay pretty close. The good news is, if he breaks the statue, but then he kills you, it does stay broken. So we would respawn at that site of grace, and then we can just run down, pass the omen, get the loot, and get out of there. The other problem is, because I've injured him, he is going to take out his sword here rather soon. There we go, statue broken. And now, I want to try and knock him down if I can. Okay, he's pulling his sword out. This is when things get interesting. Okay, watch the big slam, jump off, so you don't get hit with that. Okay, good. We knocked him down. Wait for him to go all the way. Look for the glowing spot. There's the critical. And he is done. And our reward for having him break this, 5 more smithing stone level 1s and a smithing stone level 2. Really, really beneficial. Now, I know that I have 1 more firebone arrow. That's perfect. That's exactly what I need for something coming up. So we're now heading back towards where they were sitting on these stairs. Grab the loot that he dropped, another smoldering butterfly. There is the boss arena for Godric the Grafted. We are very close to taking on the final boss, just not yet. Here is the summon for Nepheli Loux. Excuse me, Nepheli Loux. Gonna grab this Lost Grace. I'm going to rush down this teardrop scarab for a really, really good Ash of War. And then I'll come back for that summoning pool. Just try and corral him against the edge. There we go. And we get the Ash of War Stormcaller. The Ash of War Stormcaller can be applied to any swords that are capable of slashing, axes, hammers, and pole arms, with the exception of small and colossal weapons. And you basically, as the image depicts, and as we have actually seen some of the Banished Knights doing, you cause a whirlwind to surround your body, and up to 2 additional swings can be done with repeated inputs. Here's where this really, really shines. There's very good hyper armor within Stormcaller as soon as it's activated, and because of its particular motion value, it stacks status effects very quickly. So if you have a weapon where you're trying to induce sleep or poison or scarlet rot, Stormcaller can do so very, very quickly. Also, it has the quality affinity, just in case you didn't have that option with a wet blade. Right. So now we have a few adorable little enemies we're going to have to deal with, including one rather large one in the back there. So let's go ahead and draw him out. Yeah, remember Alexander the Iron Warrior? Well, kind of some of his kinfolk here. So let's just deal with him. Okay, knock him down. You can't get a critical, but there we go. And once you kill them, they explode, which is just so disgusting, and so do the little ones. Ugh, absolutely nasty. And what they drop is living jar shards and raw meat dumplings. Now, while we won't be using the living jar shards anytime soon, eventually we'll be able to use them to craft iron jar aromatics. And the raw meat dumpling is a really interesting consumable. It will restore up to 50% of your max hit points, but it also inflicts poison. But this can be beneficial in a couple of ways. One, there are some bits of cure later on that will actually give you a boost whenever you are poisoned, and this is a way to self-inflict it. But also, if you simply neutralize the poison with a neutralizing bolus, you'll still get the healing effect while canceling the poison. Right, but unfortunately, let's go ahead and take care of some more of these. Oh, and it only becomes more disgusting when you realize what's really going on here. But the reason we want to kill them is because we have 2 more cracked pots now, so we can craft more of those consumable throwing items. Before I forget, I want to grab this summoning pool. Just want to be thorough here. Alright, so now, a couple of more items to do before we wrap up. Over here we got 8 more kukri, again, the throwing knives that cause the bleed buildup. Jump over this walkway and then over here. Now we have another Banished Knight in a rather small area with a Stormhawk. And unfortunately, he's actually mourning the loss of a Stormhawk, so you can tell this guy's a real bird lover, which normally I would say I don't blame him, but these ones, they're scary. They're so scary, in fact. I guess he really does have favorites, because he couldn't care less that that one just died. So for now, I'm going to sneak up as best I can. Get the backstab. Follow it up with a ground slam. Back up, because unfortunately he just completely avoided any sort of repercussion because of the fact that he, you know, guarded. Okay, that just poised me for another backstab. Perfect. And charge R2. There we go, we got him. And down here we have 1 item, and that is 3 lumps of flesh. Yes, that's right, 1 item, which is 3 lumps of flesh. Heading back up these sandbags here. And up these stairs. Another item to jump to right here. There is a trio of smithing stone level 2s. We are almost time, or it's almost time rather, to wrap up. Get this Trina's Lily. Golden Rune level 2 and a Smithing Stone level 1. And we have a whole bunch of commoners in here to deal with, so let's just take them out nice and quick like. No reason for anything fancy. Might as well just get back some free FP. Yes, I do know there's one behind me. There we go, a couple more. And under the stairs here, we've got another great shield. Actually, it's a tower shield. This time, the Manor Tower Shield. It is absolutely huge, but it's such a cool shield. 30 strength in order to one hand. 20, I guess, if you want to hold it in two hands. It weighs 16 weight units. What's really cool, though, is it's actually depicting round table hold right on the front. Really, really good stats, by the way. So if you're looking for something to turtle behind, you can do a whole lot worse. Now, outside here, you do have this. This is a developer message. Actually, this is coming from one of the NPCs we met recently, which is Sorcerer Rajay. You can see his image. Surely what you seek is somewhere close by. But there we have our second Smithing Stone level 3. That's what we need in order to get a single weapon up to +7. Let's just start dropping down. Over here, if you can't grab it, sometimes I get the prompt to get this. Otherwise, just very carefully jump up to get 5 or a Golden Rune level 5. Outside, we have 5 more rainbow stones. We can continue along this way, but that right there, there's our rainbow stone, the one that we dropped. So you can see that's where we could have dropped from, right there where that corpse is. Which means the door that didn't open from that side is right here, thus completing the loop. And I didn't actually show off where this exited, so let me show you where this elevator would have taken you. So right down here, here's where all of those jars were. And this door right here would have taken us right to that elevator. But all we have left is one subterranean area. Godric the Grafted. That's it. Stormveil Castle is nearly behind us. Which means that is going to do it for this episode of Everything Possible in Elden Ring. I hope you learned something. And if you did, let me know what you learned by putting a comment down below. And if I missed something, or if you have a better strategy for dealing with the Courtyard or the Lion Guardian, let me know that too, so we can all keep learning. But I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.